Here we go. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Brianna Mosier with the Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce, here to bring you hopefully one more resource to add to your toolkit to help your business during these difficult times. Before we get into who I have on the screen here with me, a couple of housekeeping items. This video is being recorded and will be available on the Restart Flint and Genesee Resource Center following this presentation. You can type your comments or chat questions in the chat box at any time, and we'll be sure to address those at the end of this presentation. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get into it. I'm going to hand it over to Tyler Ross-Messler, the Director of Economic Development here at the Chamber, to introduce our guest speaker today.
Bree, I like how you say here at the Chamber when clearly you are at the Chamber and I am in my basement.
It doesn't get better than this.
Yes, but here at the Chamber, yes, thank you. Thanks for that introduction. Thank you for hosting this. Today, we have Rodney Parkkonen. Did I say that right, Rodney?
Nailed it.
As somebody with a difficult last name, I fully understand. So, but I wanted to thank you for being here. Rodney is the Senior Business Strategy Manager at the MEDC. He's going to be talking about a program called the Second Stage Growth Solutions Program. And what that is, that's government speak for a program to help your business that has 10 to 99 employees or one to $50 million in revenue, in a program that can help you figure out how to help grow your business. So that is an important thing that we know lots of business owners are focused on and are interested in. And I'll be excited to hear Rodney's presentation. So with that, I think we're going to kick it over to Rodney and we're going to hear more about this program. So Rodney, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Maria and Tyler, for inviting us to come and speak on this webinar and on this exciting program. The Second Stage Growth Solutions Program is something that we work very hard on with businesses, like you said, Tyler, 10 to 99 employees, $1 million to $50 million in revenue, to help them gain critical access to subject matter experts, provide them opportunities to brainstorm with other entrepreneurs and second stage CEOs and presidents. To jump right into it a little bit, we'll get into a little bit about the MEDC as we are the lead advocate for business development and job awareness and community development, with the focus on growing Michigan's economy and promoting Michigan's reputation as a world-class business location and travel destination. You all might be familiar with us in a variety of capacities. Our mission is to achieve long-term economic prosperity for Michiganders by investing in communities, enabling the growth of good jobs, and promoting Michigan's strong image worldwide. You can see our vision there to achieve top 10 status for job growth in targeted sectors, equitable job growth, real median household income growth, and attaching the largest net gain of talent in the Midwest. If we can head down to the next slide there. Our strategic focus areas and guiding principles really are around achieving that vision and that mission with attraction and retention of and support to businesses of all sizes, fostering high wage, skills growth, developing attractive places, catalyzing entrepreneurship, and marketing the state. One more slide, please. We do that through. So we have some guiding principles to sustain long-term growth, have some regional impact in regions around the state like the Flint and Genesee and surrounding area through Shiawassee and so on, equitable high wage job growth, and customer focus. The Second Stage Growth Solutions Program as a whole does provide second stage companies. Again, that definition is that 10 to 99 employees, 1 million to 50 million in revenue, with technical research assistance and business expertise to continue growing profitably and be prepared for the future, whatever that future looks like. Right before COVID-19, before March, the future looked a little different. Now the program is really able to also help companies strategize on pivoting if need be, or how to prepare for any other obstacles that might come their way. The information and connections gained through the program provide insights and knowledge to identify key opportunities for that continued success. Why second stage companies is an important question a lot of people ask. And, part of the reason we really focus on those is our partner, the Edward Lowe Foundation, who is a expert in second stage companies. According to that Edward Lowe Foundation, between 2003 and 2018, second stage businesses represented 17% of all U.S. companies, but generated 37% of all the jobs. So it's obviously a very important piece of the economy in the United States, and especially here in Michigan. The founder of the foundation, Mr. Edward Lowe, was an entrepreneur himself, who at a number of pivotal times in his business lifespan really kind of felt isolated and alone. He didn't really have a network of other business owners that he could turn to. Family members could only understand really on the periphery what it meant to have the ups and downs of being, a small second stage business owner. He wanted to be sure that he was able to leave a legacy for others, to create a forum for entrepreneurs to gain access to that timely assistance I mentioned in areas they were not experts in, as well as opportunities to bring those entrepreneurs together to share their experiences. So within the Second Stage Growth Solutions program, there are a number of stages. The first stage, and probably the most important as it is the entry point to other stages of the program, is the System for Integrated Growth. I'll call it SIG throughout this just to kind of shorten it up. SIG enables the second stage CEO, president, founder to tap into vetted experts in specific operational areas. This team of specialists doesn't dictate a course of action to overcome any obstacles, but instead provides best practices, resources, tools, and valuable data to help CEOs better manage and grow their business. The program really starts in a couple of different ways. The key focus areas are really anything inside the walls of an organization or external facing. Any obstacles that a second stage company is facing that are impacting its ability to grow, the System for Integrated Growth is really meant to help that company gain access to experts to help overcome those issues. Focus areas might include things, including human resources, operations and supply chain, accounting and finance, global trade, sales, marketing, succession planning, access to capital, and how to finance things, among obviously a multitude of others. We do have about 35 subject matter experts that are able to be tapped for the program. They are located around the country. Some are here in Michigan, others are in Colorado or Florida. They really bring a strong national perspective and a very deep understanding and expertise in their areas of focus. They do this every day for a living. So to have a second stage company be able to access these experts is really a really strong tool for them to be able to overcome their obstacles. The program kicks off with a call between the CEO and one of the specialists that's called the team leader. That needs assessment call is really meant to clarify the company's needs. The team leader asks a lot of questions based on the company's application. They check out the company's website. They identify what the capacity of the company is, what they've tried in the past, what types of things they're doing now, to really help get a better understanding of those obstacles, because the team leader then sets the scope of work with the company as to what those obstacles that are going to be focused on in the program are going to be, that they build a team to overcome. The team leader then builds the team of specialists around that scope of work, again, using any of those focused areas that are mentioned. And then the team, the subject matter expert team, comes back together with that CEO or that leader of the company on another call and digs even deeper into that specific focus area that each of them will be working on. Again, meant to dive into capacity, things that have been tried, baseline knowledge level of things, so that subject matter expert can build out and round out a presentation specific to that company, introducing them to new tools, new tips, new resources and data that can help them overcome those sticking points, those obstacles that they're facing. From there, each subject matter expert presents a kind of final presentation to the company, rolling out all those tools. The company is allowed to invite other people within the organization. So if, let's say, for example, it was a marketing obstacle that they wanted to overcome, the leader of the company can invite their marketing person, if they have one, to the call, because that person's really going to be helping execute on all those things. So it makes sense to bring those practitioners to the table, all hearing the same thing from the experts. After those presentation calls, the newest part of the SIG program is called Aftercare. Aftercare is the team leader and the company setting 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day touch points, and then setting goals for the next call. Really, the intent there is to provide the company more access to the experts and the team leader as they start to put into practice all those things they learned from their engagement in the system for integrated growth. So at the closeout call, after the presentation calls, the CEO and the team leader schedule the 30-day call, and they set some short intermediate goals that are achievable. And then at the 30-day call, the team leader will ask the company, how did it go? What obstacles did you face? What success did you have? If the company has questions, we're able to re-engage one of the subject matter experts to help answer questions, make sure the company has a full understanding of, where they're at, how they can overcome that obstacle. And then at that 30-day call, they schedule the 60-day call. At the 60-day call, they go through the goals, how it went, any obstacles faced, and so on. Same for the 90-day call. I really liken this to going to the gym on January 1st by yourself, or January 1st, you hire a trainer to try to, meet your goals. Going to the gym by yourself on January 1st, everybody's full of excitement and hits it head on. By early March, they're starting to hit snooze on the alarm, and by April, they're just making a donation typically to their gym. But if you hire a trainer, you've got somebody there holding you a little bit more accountable to those action items and those goals. Again, not crazy accountable, but somebody looking at their watch going, hey, it's 5 o'clock, you better be at the gym. Same for the aftercare program. You set those goals, and then you have somebody that you're accountable to say, I met the goal, I overcame these obstacles, or I came up to an obstacle I don't know quite how to overcome. The team leader can answer questions, bring in that subject matter expert. So it's a really strong way to keep the company engaged. For this first stage of the program, everything is done virtually by phone, email, and virtual presentation. It's always been done that way so even through some of the, COVID restrictions and so on that we have in place, this program runs seamlessly with people who are used to operating in this space. So it's done really well. The CEOs commit to between 8 and 12 hours throughout the about 8 weeks of the program. This includes all of those calls, including the aftercare. There's not a lot of homework involved from the company standpoint. It might be sending a couple emails on a current procedure that you have so that the subject matter expert can review it and provide any kind of feedback. You can, again, invite those other team members from the company to participate on any of the calls, but we do ask that the CEO and company leader participate in at least the first 2 calls, if not all of the calls, because it's very important that the company see that there's buy-in from the top, just to help that company see better results. Through all of the engagements we've had in this program, those that are the most successful have buy-in from the top. The team at the company sees that the CEO or president or whomever is really bought into the program. They tend to see the best results because they know that this is going to help benefit the company the most. Next slide, please. One company that has gone through the program somewhat recently and a number of times is Olympus Salsa. Dan and Stacy Pilera had started kind of making salsa out of their home after their garden grew beyond any amount of salsa they could possibly consume. They started giving it away as gifts to friends and family. As they received more and more requests for their salsa, they found out that they might actually have an opportunity to really create a business here. So they kind of got things started and have now gone through the program a couple of times. Each time they gain new valuable insights, and it's helped them grow from giving salsa away as gifts to selling it in stores throughout Michigan. A couple of the things that the company has really relied on our subject matter experts for are GIS team. We have a GIS expert who's helped them identify retail location demographics and potential retail prospects, all through conversations with the company, the GIS tool that they're able to provide, and then presenting that information out. We have some marketing experts that the team at Olympus Fair has reached out to help them with their online presence, some in-store point of sale marketing efforts that the company wanted to put into place but didn't quite know how to do it. And finally, some operational things around staffing and contracting some work as well. Olympus Fair has seen a bunch of success from the program. They've been able to grow again from giving salsa away to finding multiple outlets around the state of Michigan to be able to sell their product. In fact, their CEO, Stacy, is participating in another program that we are looking to add as a regular opportunity for further follow-up to SIG engagements. We're kind of beta testing this one right now, so I won't go into too many details. but they found so much success in the program that they wanted to be able to do more, to be able to help grow their business further. So, Stacy and Dan are a great company. They've been able to really take advantage of this program multiple times and grow through some of these areas that they didn't have an expertise in by themselves, or know even how to vet or find experts in those spaces. Next slide, please. The next kind of stage in the Second Stage Growth Solutions Program is called the Next Steps Retreat. This Next Steps Retreat is typically, in a normal world, a 3-day, 2-night event at Big Valley Ranch in Cassopolis, which is the headquarters of the Edward Lowe Foundation. Really, the retreat helps CEOs create an action plan to implement findings learned from the company's SIG participation. So again, this is kind of that next stage after your SIG participation. CEOs and a guest are exposed to visualization processes that identify how the company can create value for customers in every facet of the business. So it's really about that customer journey, whatever that looks like for each type of business. The process allows CEOs the opportunity to brainstorm with other business leaders and focus on maximizing the company's growth. This is a really exciting opportunity for entrepreneurs, especially when it's in person, because they get a chance to network beyond their typical network, meet other second stage entrepreneurs who are sometimes facing similar ups and downs or struggles or obstacles to growth. There's tons of opportunity for people to break out into small groups, brainstorm, talk about their experiences, learn about others' experiences and what people have done to overcome things. We are still conducting these retreats. They are happening currently in a virtual space because we are not able to meet in person. Similar concept applies, bringing second stage entrepreneurs together to go through a curriculum specifically based for companies that are 10 to 99 employees and 1 million to 50 million in revenue. Very timely information through vetted experts that come in. Again, Edward Lowe Foundation speaks. They've got expertise and a national perspective around second stage companies that we're able to bring into Michigan and help companies, continue on that path of growing and continuing to be successful, through good times and a little more turbulent times as we have now. Next slide, please. After companies participate in the Next Steps Retreat, they do have the opportunity to continue to meet regularly with that group of CEOs or company leaders that they worked with at the retreat as part of our Perspectives CEO Roundtable. It's a system really designed for the leaders to meet 8 to 12, typically 8 to 12 business executives at a time, meet typically once a month in a very confidential way, to continue growing and sharing challenges and experiences. Really, this is kind of the continued iteration and growth of the relationships that companies are able to take out of the Second Stage Growth Solutions Program. The conversation is very balanced. It helps participants focus on identifying and processing those core issues that continually come up after the SIG engagement is done and after you've been able to brainstorm. As all you second stage companies know, things continually come up, and it's great to have these sounding boards and this opportunity to network and brainstorm with others on outcomes, procedures, and opportunities to grow the company. Again, these are the first 3 stages in the process. If we could go to the next slide, please. In order for a company to be able to participate in this Second Stage Growth Solutions Program, as it's kind of been mentioned a couple times, they must be a for-profit, privately held company, generating an annual revenue between $1 million and $50 million with 10 to 99 full-time equivalent employees. There must be some demonstration of growth in employment and or revenue during 2 of the last 5 years. Please do keep in mind that we're kind of not counting 2020 in that growth area. There are, of course, businesses who are finding growth due to their industry or ability to pivot or whatever the case may be. But, this 2 years of growth in the last 5 is something we're able to be somewhat flexible on, because we want to make sure that companies who are experiencing obstacles due to COVID are able to access this tool if it fits with their business, because access to vetted experts is something that might be able to help them overcome this time and help them pivot or identify new markets or manage people in a remote space or whatever that looks like. The only other thing is we ask that companies provide products or services beyond the local area to regional, national, or global markets. So if you think back to Olympus Fair, growing outside of that kind of Grand Blanc, Genesee County footprint to grow to Michigan, and their desire to grow, more so regionally to the Great Lakes region and beyond nationwide is, something we look for to make sure that, we can help those companies as they look to scale their business. Next slide, please. This is all made possible due to our partnership, the MEDC's partnership with the Edward Lowe Foundation. It's been a great partnership that we've had for a number of years. And because of the partnership, as I've mentioned a couple times with the Edward Lowe Foundation, they have a relationship with experts from around the country in various disciplines and fields, but they also work with other partner states. Louisiana and Florida are two of the larger that I can think of. So they're hearing things, their experts and the foundation themselves are hearing some of the things that are going on in other states, and they're able to bring that information back and provide some very timely information around what industries around the country are doing to overcome obstacles that a company in Michigan might be facing. As I also mentioned, the Edward Lowe Foundation are the experts focused solely on second stage companies. Because their founder was that entrepreneur, he saw the gap that existed for people who get to a certain level. They take an idea and they grow it to a space, and then they need help overcoming obstacles or their lack of knowledge in human resources or marketing or whatever the case may be. So the goal is to provide those vetted experts in the curriculum development, helping companies succeed. We have one expert, as I mentioned, who's done 1,400 engagements with companies across the country just as part of this program. He does this for a living, so he has a business outside of that as well. So you can imagine the amount of time he spends on one specific focus area. These people are very well versed on the top trends, most timely information they can provide companies in Michigan to help them continue growing. And through our partnership, we are always looking to continue to grow the program and the offerings that are available. As I mentioned with Olympus Fair, Stacy is participating in a beta test we're rolling out right now around mentors and mentees for companies that have gone through SIG, to be able to access a mentor, somebody who's been in the second stage space for quite a while, to carry through that relationship even further. And we're even testing other opportunities for companies to participate in other ways. There will be more to come on that, but I do want to let everybody know that we are continuing to expand and grow the program as needs become available. And in one way we were able to do that through COVID was we launched COVID-19 roundtables, where we brought second stage companies together to talk about their experiences specific to COVID. What the obstacles they were facing, how they were overcoming things, how they felt. That was something we started back in April, and when we had 3 different cohorts running simultaneously. I think each one was 10 to 12 businesses, and they were able to just brainstorm together, talk through things, get an understanding that they weren't alone, and provide access to somebody who could, again, not provide a prescriptive way to overcome things, but just ask very pointed questions, an experienced person who was able to ask questions to help the company maybe unwrap something that they weren't seeing, that could spark a conversation with everybody in the group who could really start to brainstorm together and come together as second stage companies in a space, almost helping each other through what COVID is a very, very difficult time for companies. So with that, I will say, if anybody wants to apply for the SIG program, you can visit michigan.systemforintegratedgrowth.org. On the left-hand side, you'll see an area where you can enter your email address and things and get started from there. I'm always available. As you can see on the screen, my contact information is there. Parkkonen1@michigan.org is my email address if you have questions, or you can reach me at 517-730-1244. And at this time, I'd like to open it up to any questions that anybody has, or comments or thoughts.
I have a few questions, Rodney, for you.
Great.
Just to get us started. Number one, how much does this cost for a company?
Yeah, I didn't even cover the best part about it. This is no cost to a company. It's covered by the MEDC. We're able to do that with our partnership with the Edward Lowe Foundation, but this entire thing comes at no cost to companies whatsoever.
And I loved your analogy about the trainer in the gym, because prior to COVID, I had been known to send my donation to the gym. That's something true. So could you tell me a little bit more about this team that a company, if they're in the program, who they have access to? Who are these people? And tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so these people are consultants who work in that specific industry. So if it's a GIS expert, they work in GIS solely. That individual happens to be in Florida, but they help companies all across the country through this program, and then also just on their own consulting business with GIS work around mapping opportunities for businesses, identifying, using that GIS tool to see what markets might make sense based on demographics and all those things. You know, our marketing experts are people who have been in the marketing space for 10, 20, sometimes 30 years. They might have come from the private sector and opened their own consulting firm or whatever, but they are vetted through the Edward Lowe Foundation. They have gone out and done the work to find these experts for our companies here in Michigan. And they are the experts. They live in their focus area, right? They're not generalists who a marketing person's not going to be talking to you about HR. We have an HR person who's going to be talking to you about HR practices, best practices, and some of those things. So they are experts in that specific field.
And they're not just like around the corner. These are like national experts that are available to you at no cost, like you said.
Correct. Yeah.
Next thing, is there specific industries you guys like to focus on as your cohorts in this program?
I think we look at obviously the MEDC has our strategic plan around our industries that we focus on, but I think for this program in the second stage space, I think those eligibility pieces are where we kind of live, right? Is there a desire to grow your product regionally, nationally, or internationally, right? And regionally can even be statewide. If you're Olympus Fair Salsa and you're, using guerrilla marketing right now and you're in Flint doing taste testing at a grocery store, but you want to grow and get into a major grocer or something like that, those types of companies that have that desire to grow beyond that small footprint of, their neighborhood or whatever the case may be. Obviously we've seen industries from manufacturing to food manufacturing, so to speak. We've seen tech companies, marketing companies. We even have marketing companies come in wanting help from one of our marketing experts on other marketing techniques and ways they can do things. So,
it's a good idea. You can expose yourself to outside thoughts that you might not just have in your natural Rolodex. That's great.
Yes. Yep. Sometimes we get so focused on working in the business that we can't take ourselves out and work on the business. And this program really sometimes allows just that permission, right? To say, I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to invest this 8 to 12 hours of time to work on the business, get some fresh ideas because my eyes are seeing the same thing. It's like when you type a letter and you've looked at it 100 times and you don't see the typos, but then you have somebody else look at it and you misspelled the 4 times or something, right? It's just a separate set of eyes looking at what you're doing and providing some thoughts and some feedback, really.
Yeah, that distinction is really good. Michael Gerber, E-Myth, right? He's the one who said in and on the business, and
yes.
And that's easy to confuse. That's great. So it's free, no cost.
Yeah.
Pretty much any industry is eligible as long as they're looking to grow their business regionally, nationally.
Yep.
The trainers are subject matter experts from around the country that will sit with you and focus on your business.
Yep.
The last pressing question I have.
Yes.
Olympus Fair, GIS. What the heck is GIS for retail? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. So they did that before I started working on the program. So I'm not 100% familiar, but I do know that, the GIS tool can be used to identify areas of the country where, or the state or whatever that somebody might want to target and look at based on the information that the GIS expert inputs and so on.
I've heard people talk about, and maybe this is what it is, but I've heard retail folks talk about traffic patterns or high traffic areas, and they're trying to target high traffic, and that system is probably where you get that information. I just I didn't know where they got it. Maybe they get it from GIS for retail or something like that.
It's a tool that's smarter than I am, which is great. But I will say, I used to sell advertising way back in the day, and I worked with a guy who started a car wash. And before he opened his car wash, he did a pretty much a traffic study on. He hired a consultant to do a traffic study to find out exactly where he should put this car wash, based on what you're saying, those traffic patterns and so on. I have to imagine that GIS tool could do something like that to say, if you want to open a second location, or if you're looking for a market, is it better to put it over here or over here, based on whatever those parameters that you have as a business are?
Well, that's great. I know that those are really, thank you for answering the questions. Thank you for going over this. I mean, it's such an valuable tool. I mean, I almost wanted to ask you the question of, if this was just something a company wanted to go out and purchase, go through this training program, I mean, they'd be spending thousands of dollars. I can only imagine. I don't know if you have like a value for it, but the fact that they have to pay nothing is really impressive.
Yeah, I've heard numbers, 10,000. I've heard people talk about up to $40,000 to gain access, depending on how many stages of the program they go through. But if you think about the time it would take them to find the experts, are you vetting the right person? Are you asking the right questions to get the information you need? Are you finding the best qualified person, or is there somebody else in the nation that could be doing it better? That work's all been done for companies, saving you a ton of time and a ton of cost, right? To have access to these already vetted experts in these fields who do this for a living, who have done this hundreds of thousands of times overall, right? It's a pretty invaluable tool. But yeah, for a business, there would be a quantifiable number you could put on it. If somebody sat down and said, if I did 30 hours of this, if I got 30 hours of expert time at X amount, what would that look like?
Yeah, that's great. So, well, thanks, Rodney. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing this. I'm sure we've got a couple companies that are interested in growing their business nationally and regionally. So we'll use this to help get the word out.
Thank you so much.
I would say a potential game changer here. I love the example of Olympus Fair, especially because they're local. So for our regional businesses who are watching right now, that's a very relevant and local example of what this could do for your business. You mentioned that they had gone through the program a number of times. Is there a limit on how many times you can utilize this resource?
Yeah, so we typically look at about 3 engagements in the SIG program being kind of where we want to go. And we do try to cap it at once per year. Very, very infrequently. I can think of, once over, I don't even know how many hundreds of these, where we've had somebody come in twice in the same year. And that was because the obstacles they were facing kind of piggybacked each other, or were kind of reliant on the other one. So they were able to come in twice in a year. However, what we really try to do is give the business owner and the business itself time to start to put into practice what they learned from the first engagement before they start another engagement on something totally different. We don't want the water to get muddied and get confused on what they're trying to execute when and all those things. So on that first call with the team leader, they work very hard to identify those top priorities that the company has that they want to overcome. And then if there's other priorities, we can revisit those later. But we want to make sure the company has time to build a foundation of success on these first obstacles before we start to bring in more work for them to do. Otherwise, it can get too confusing and just sometimes becomes overwhelming for a company who's trying to also just run the business, right? So,
yeah, very awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much again for joining us today. I'm going to put this back up here so that everyone has your contact information if they would like to reach out to you directly. If you joined us a little bit late, don't worry. The recording will be available on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, and the Restart Flint, Tennessee Resource Center, which can be found on our website. Quick thank you to our regional partners who are also streaming live to their Facebook page, the Lapeer Development Corporation. So if you are joining us live from there, we appreciate it. Again, thank you to our webinar series sponsor, Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Network of Michigan. Up next week on September 23rd, we'll be talking about the economic impact of COVID-19 with Paul Traub. So be sure to tune in then. And just a quick thank you to the Flint and Genesee Chamber Luncheon sponsors. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We'll see you